We got George Stahl here from Dow Jones Newswire to try and unmurky this for us, if that is a word. Unmurky. Put that in the style book. Legal dispute over who owns the right to the iPad name.
Maybe that's why Apple didn't want to give another name to the iPad, because they didn't want to create another dispute for it. But this goes back to China, and it's a continuation of, has Apple properly acquired the rights to the name of iPad there? The latest is that now a group of bankers say that they actually own the rights to the name, throwing yet another claim in the mix in this battle. This battle started when a company called Proview said that Apple had not properly bought the trademark of iPad from them. Apple said, we bought the rights to the name iPad from a company called Proview Sheshwin.
Yes.
However, they bought it from Proview Taiwan. Proview Sheshwin said that they actually have the rights to China, and that the agreement with Proview Taiwan does not cover that.
So they got the wrong Proview.
Right.
I love it.
That's the argument. Obviously, Apple feels differently, and they say that they have gotten the rights. Now what's come out, Proview apparently in 2009 underwent a reorganization in which some of the biggest Chinese banks, including some state-owned banks, got rights to Proview, and now those banks are claiming that they are the ones that actually have the iPad trademark.
Are you going to claim that you own the right to the iPad as well?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, why not? Carry on, Jen.
So, I mean, what were they, is there a product in China that is being called the iPad that is kind of in competition with this, or is this just a matter of rights and kind of paperwork?
There is no current product.
Okay.
There was one a decade ago. It was called the iPad, which stood for something like Internet Portable Assistant Device or something like that, but it was more of a computer than it was a tablet. It was a boxy computer. But that had stopped selling for years before Apple had thought it had bought the rights. I mean, a lot of this just shows the trickiness of that companies still have in dealing with China and the rights there.
And doesn't it get just a lot more tricky? Because if some banks own this and some of those banks are state-owned, that basically means the Chinese government has got a claim in this, if this is all correct.
Right.
Chinese government's got a claim, and the Chinese government looks after the court system, the commercial court system, which is what this is all about. So that suddenly is looking a lot more tricky. And I don't want to cast aspersions on the Chinese legal system, but I'm just saying, it's suddenly getting very murky and a lot more dicey, right?
Already, Apple's had a split verdict in the courts over this issue. They lost one, they won one, and there's still there's another one that's pending. So it's you're right in that it gets more complicated there, and you know, obviously the end game is probably some sort of an agreement. That's probably something.
Money. When you say agreement, you mean some sort of sackload of cash.
According to what we've seen, it appears as if Apple paid 35,000 British pounds for the iPad rights initially. Proview is saying that they should get upwards of $2 billion now. So there seems like
of course they do.
So now, but the other thing that also is complicated is now Proview has filed a suit in California trying to argue their case here in the U.S., which would also throw this dispute to another level.
Nice. Lots for us to talk about. It's going to get really scrappy. Are you excited?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting. Thank you very much. George Stahl of Dow Jones Newswire.